maybe. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm going to admit in full transparency, I just woke up like 30 minutes ago and was like overslept, and so if I seem a little disheveled or a little like still getting myself in sorts, that's why. But I am so grateful I was able to have this guest on with us today. Her story and experiences are so amazing. And I want to give a quick shout out to my moderator, Anchor Haven. She is the one who's going to be helping with sharing out the links and sharing out the episodes. So thank you, Anchor Haven, for all you do, and she'll be watching out in the chat room as well. So much appreciation to you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my amazing guest and allow her to share her story and experience. So I give you the one, the only, amazing, super aware Michele LuminousIgnus.
Hello. Thank you, Michael, for that beautiful introduction.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much, and we only have so much time. But I'm a shamanic intuitive channel. I was that sensitive, weird kid, like a lot of us, that saw things and was aware of things, and you know. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was recently not feeling well, and I was remembering back to when I was a kid, and there was this ghost in the house that used to take care of me. And so my parents would go off to work, and she would be there and would just kind of look after me. And I had her whole amazing story and why she was there, and it was just fascinating. So sometimes I think about maybe this happened to me when I was older, but then I look back and I'm like, no, I've always been this weird human being that has an awareness that there's other things. And so I started out being a mental health therapist and actually transitioned out of that after getting struck by lightning. So about 8 years ago now, I was inside my office, just kind of chilling out and doing my thing. And a thunderstorm came out of nowhere, and a lightning bolt hit the tree and the transformer, and a side flare came through the window, melted the glass in this almond mandorla shape, and hit me in the back 3 times. And I was dead for 3 minutes. And according to my Fitbit. So that's how I know. My little dog was kind of sniffing me to wake me up, and she, um, kind of got me back to consciousness. But all I remember is seeing this giant white light, and I'm not sure what that white light was.
I can imagine being shocked. And I have an affinity for electricity, but getting struck 3 times, that's a record, I think.
Well, it was one time, but it was three spots, or there's 3 marks on my back from the side flare coming through the window and hitting me in the back. So 3 times in one moment, I suppose.
Right, that's what I mean
Yeah.
is, I hear of people like Danny and Brinkley who got struck, and that was like one single arc, and
Yes.
he came back and he had multiples, but it seems like you did the opposite. Instead of having multiples, you're like, we'll just get it all in one, and we'll
Yeah.
do the 3 arcs now, and we don't have to electrocute her later.
I hope so. But it woke up a lot in me, and it completely, I couldn't be the same person after. I couldn't hide who I am anymore, because everything, all my gifts, my abilities, the clairs, the ability to see and sense energy around us, all got amplified times I don't know what.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious if you, growing up before this happened with the lightning strike, did you ever go to light switches and get like little purple electric zap? And
Yes.
I got that too. Thankfully, I haven't had the electric lightning bolts
Yeah.
yet. Hopefully, I won't.
Yeah, I
Uh,
still get zapped from the light switches and things. Yeah, I carry an electric charge, I think, and that current follows me. But it's actually worse since the lightning strike. But that's always been. Uh, they say people are either electric or magnetic, and that people that are electric have those phenomenon a lot more, and people that are magnetic tend to not have that as much.
there's probably a lot of truth to that, and I'm kind of curious. Did it leave like a triangle mark on you, the marks from the lightning, or did it leave like a pattern, or was it just random 3 dots somewhere?
Um, they're not dots like circles, but they're certainly marks. But they're different shapes. They look kind of like hieroglyphs. They're kind of cool.
I almost wonder if it's like a message and that's why it came through. And if it
Like
came through the glass, I'm sure, did you keep the glass because it would have this nice new feature to it?
no, I needed to have it repaired so that the cold air didn't come in. But
Oh, it shattered the glass. I thought it just would
no,
have melted.
it melted it in this almond shape.
Oh,
So yeah, whatever happened there, I feel like it was an initiation, and a lot of shamanic and indigenous cultures have that belief that people are initiated into the shamanic path through the element of lightning coming in. So I feel like that's kind of a piece of what happened there. And then there was a lot of physical healing afterwards and miraculous healing. So I do feel like this was meant to happen and meant to be. And yeah, I think the message was, all right, girl, it's time to wake up and like, let's move this along, get going and get on this shamanic path. And so I've transitioned, and that's my life now.
if that's true, I feel blessed with what mine is because I'll always say, like, they need to take, some people will say, oh, it took a 2x4 to wake me up. I'm like, it took a cosmic 2x12 to wake me up. I'm like, at least it didn't take a lightning bolt to wake me up.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, how much were you ignoring them that they're like, okay, she's not listening. Now we're going to use lightning. She'll listen.
I definitely listened after that for sure. Yeah.
And so you say after the lightning, a lot of your gifts were enhanced. So what kind of gifts did you have before and how did those unfold?
Well, being able to sense spirits around me was always a very natural thing. Um, the the clairaudience actually got amplified after a car accident that I had, where a voice screamed at me to turn the wheel, and after that, the clairaudience was upgraded. And the lightning, it was energy. So the if I rub my hands together and if we were in physical proximity, you would feel the energy coming out of my hands. So that was a huge change and upgrade. And then the being able to channel really kind of came online after that. And then I would ask a question, and then I would just hear the answer in my head, which kind of um, was different. I used to have to like get into deep meditation and really get in that spot to have that kind of interaction with the guides. But after that, it's just there.
So I'm a little curious, and I know a lot of people probably have asked you about the after lightning strike when you're, quote, not here, transitioned, dead, or however you want to word
Mhm.
it. But what do you remember during the lightning strike? It's like, do you have any memory of seeing anything or feeling anything? I mean, obviously you're feeling pain from the lightning, but was there anything else going on that you're like, I never thought about, but yeah, there was this.
Well, I felt absolutely no pain in the moment because I was knocked unconscious. And so all I saw, I just remember feeling like this um, energy, like you're beyond caffeine, like that body buzzing. Um, or when you like have a really good meditation and your body really gets buzzing. It was like that kind of sensation. And all I saw was this bright, intense white light. And I've asked my guides, what happened during that time, and they will not tell me. So, for whatever reason, whatever happened during that time that I was on the other side, it was not meant for me to remember, but I felt absolute peace. Another time that I had a near death experience, um, I what I do have glimpses of it. And basically, what I was kind of told is like, whatever you believe is going to happen, like you're the co creator of your death, like you're the co creator in that. If you believe, so I'm like, okay, I want my dog or all the animals I've ever had, right? I want like a really cool angel. Like, I want, like, you know, maybe a couple goddesses like, to come. And like, that's, if I keep focusing on that, that is what will initially happen when I pass. So I think that's why people have different experiences. And, if you like kind of look into like the hell realm, it's not that full, because if people believe that they're going there, they'll hang out there for a while. And then eventually they're going to figure out, I don't have to stay there.
Right. No, I agree with that. And I kind of wonder, too, do the marks that were left ever like start itching out of control or be like start feeling different and you're like, what's going on? Why won't this stop? How do I get this to do something? It's like, do they use them as messages to say, hey, we're reaching out?
Yeah, I
Need to
don't
call us back?
know. I really don't know. I haven't had any like experiences that I felt like the marks were some sort of message. More that the energy change in my body needed to happen, and again, I had miraculous healing of my heart. My nervous system is still healing, but I mean, it's come a lot farther than it should have.
Oh, squirrel just went by. So when you say miraculous healing of the heart, what are you referring to?
Well, the amount of electricity that went through my heart, like it's, I probably shouldn't have survived that. And the initial scans, there was a serious problem. And then all of a sudden I was fine. And I haven't had any problems since. So whatever happened, again, they won't tell me. Right. So whatever happened, I was meant to stay here for a while. So
No, that's really cool. And, it seems like they repaired what they needed to repair. And I just wanted to make sure for people who were listening, they didn't think you had like maybe a heart condition before, and now that you got
no,
struck by lightning, it's gone. It's like
no.
wanting to make sure nobody like started saying, "Oh, I need to go do this because it helped her," and be like, "No, that's not what we said."
No, I do not recommend getting struck by lightning. If it's meant to happen for whatever initiation, it will find you. Trust me. But yeah, don't go seek it out. In fact, there's stories in cultures where, in South American cultures, where that shamanic initiation is so desired that teenage boys will go stand on a mountaintop trying to get struck by lightning. And the sad thing is many of them get struck and they die. And so it's not something that should ever be encouraged. And in fact, the elder shamans are often telling them, don't do this. This is not the path. And even if you get struck and survive, if it's meant for you, it will find you wherever you're at. It's not something you want to chase, because that's kind of beside the point, right?
Right. And you're also banking on where that lightning's coming from, because if it's coming from source, then
Mm-hmm.
it'll be the right frequency to do what it needs to do. And like
Yes.
you're saying, you can walk away. If
Mm-hmm.
it's from a different source,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're probably not coming back.
Yeah.
And so it's that adage of be careful what you ask for, because
Mm-hmm.
there are different types of lightning. And so that's, the interesting thing too is with it being like you're saying the white lightning, I'd have I'm curious. I would have to look up to see, because I know we have heat lightning, we have ball lightning, we have different phenomenon if the color means something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a different energy signature, right? And so with everything, when we have a different color, we've got a different frequency. When we've got, and even within that, different frequency energies, whether it's ball lightning or it's lightning that's ground to sky, sky to ground. Like there's so many different forms energetically that can take, but also like whether that's coming from the element themselves, it's coming from source, it's coming from a star being, like who's actually behind that and what's their intent, like can be all kind of calibrated into what's the exact frequency of that. So I think the algorithm would be quite complicated to figure out.
I looked it up actually, and it says white lightning is the hottest and most common type of natural electrical discharge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even more amazing that you survived it.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it was meant for me. The thunderstorm literally came out of absolute nowhere in the middle of a summer day, and like was gone after I woke up. So Like it was literally a few minute storm that just rolled in and rolled out. So, I mean, it was not, that was not normal.
No, but the interesting thing, though, aside from that, is in experiencing the lightning and having the electric, that you had before still with you, that to me is a little interesting because a lot of times when it's like you get the little charges and then you get the big one, it's like, oh, we don't need to do the little anymore. And the body stops
Mm-hmm.
receiving that. And so it's kind of interesting that you still
Mm-hmm.
have both. And uh, I, with Reiki being a Reiki master, I can pull in elements or I can pull in the like secondary elements, and by secondary elements I mean like electricity, different things that you normally wouldn't think of as elements because they're a combination of things. And so I wonder, you know since the lightning strike and you do Reiki, do you feel like the two are intertwined and you utilize the energies together, or do you use a different type of Reiki altogether and you're like, nope, let's not put electricity into this because that didn't work, that I was lucky, I don't want to put somebody else through that.
It doesn't cause harm. It's all very divine. So I trust spirit. So just like in Reiki, the Reiki Master training helped me to understand the energy and know what the Reiki frequency is. And this is a completely different frequency that I feel like I'm the channel of, which is why I keep getting recharged. If a storm comes, I'm really charged up, and I'll offer that to the trees, to the earth, to, just because I have to move it through my body. But if I'm doing an energy healing with someone, then the energy that comes through is not Reiki. It's this channeled plasma energy, and people may feel like they've had a little too much caffeine or something after it. But what I always tell them is just go sit on the earth and you'll be fine, or put your back against a tree. It'll be okay. And then, nobody's ever had any problems. They don't get overcharged because the channeled energy is directed much like Reiki of whatever is for their greatest and highest good and benefit. I don't actually have to know what healing is being done, and I'm not doing the healing. That energy is coming through and doing the healing.
Right. And that's what I do. It's just sometimes I know when you're like feeling certain energies come in, it's like for a split second I know the mind goes, wait, why are we calling this in? And then it's like you're like, nope, nope, step aside, let it do its thing. They know what
Yep.
they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. And with the lightning and everything, do you feel now at times where you feel like almost like going, I'm really, I always go right here, but today we're going left. And it's like just a knowing, a deeper knowing of, yeah, maybe need to switch things up today. Maybe not follow this pattern like normal, and let's go do it a little different and kind of in that atmosphere. Or do you feel like it's the same and the lightning really didn't do anything to your awareness?
Well, it opened up my clairaudient channel. So all that telepathic, clairaudient, like my guides telling me, I have a driving guide that helps me simply just when I'm driving the car. And that guide will, all the time be like, hey, go this way or go that way. Or I have another guide that reminds me if I forget things. And so I'll be walking out the door. And because this all got so amplified after the lightning, this is just now how I live my life, which is part of why I couldn't ignore it. I can't pretend to be fitting in, blending in with mainstream society anymore. That's just not an option after the lightning strike. I was able to do that and pretend before, but after the gifts got amplified so much, like it's constant, the help and support and love. Like it's always good things. Like it's like, didn't you want to bring this to work with you today? Right. So that help is much appreciated and I'm grateful for it. So I mean, that's just become a daily part of my life. And then, being able to do shamanic intuitive healing, it's, getting that information from their higher self and helping them to bring through the information that they're needing in order to get unstuck or, explore whatever it is they're wanting to explore.
And I'm kind of curious, have you ever thought about writing a book, surviving lightning, spiritual awakening, kind of title? Or are you like, no, I don't want to be known as the woman that survived the lightning?
I mean, because that was a moment, right? That was the initiation, right? So that's kind of like, somebody just writing about their graduation ceremony from graduating high school. It's the thing that was the catalyst, right, for the next things. And so, I mean, I've had so many crazy experiences in my life that I've thought about writing a book only because when people start to hear more and more and more about my story starts to unravel, people are like, oh my God, you should write a book. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just so much about living in the moment and being in the here and now. I might do that at some point, or maybe I'll write a memoir, but I feel like I still got some years in me before I'm ready to write the memoir of my life.
Well, I thought that for the longest time too. And no, I didn't have a lightning strike to speak of, but I did have a different lightning electricity experiment that nearly got me in a lot of trouble. But so we do kind of have that in common. But I actually have found in writing, it's like a this is where I am now kind of moment,
Mm-hmm.
to where you can look back, like, let's say, 5-10 years from now, and you can look at the story, the book you put out, and be like, wow, look how far I've come. Or
Mm-hmm.
on the flip side, you could also say, wow, I'm still in the same place. What happened? And, but you can always, write being beyond, like part one of my journey. Now here's part two. And write it that way. Just because you put a book out doesn't mean you're done. It just means, it's a stepping stone. It's a way people can follow your journey step by step in a way. But it's up to you. I mean, it's. I was against it until a friend told me how cathartic it was, and you're not reliving a lot of things. And so I was like, oh, well, then maybe I'll do it. And next thing I knew, I had it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess the time was right. But yeah, don't write because people tell you to write. You got to write when you want to write.
Yeah. If my guides tell me it's time, I will sit down at the computer and start typing away.
But yeah, so my fun electric experience was in college. I was putting together a circuit, and we were doing it for a class. and both ends were live, but we realized we forgot to connect one side to the other side.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I look up and I'm like, teacher's not in the room. I'm like, this took us almost the whole class to get this far. If we have to take it apart, we're going to have to, we won't finish. And so it's like for like a half a second, I'm like, I keep looking around and going, well, he's not there. He's not there. No. And I go, watch my six. And they go, what? And I grab both ends that
Oh
need to
no.
connect. And I can feel the current go up my arm, across my
Uh-huh.
chest, down the other arm. And then I put them together and I put it down. And I look up and guess who's standing front and center staring at me?
Your teacher.
Yep.
Oh no.
He's looking at me with this face of, I can't believe you survived this, but at the same time, like, what were you thinking? And the words that come out of his mouth was funny as he goes and he says, if you do that again, I will expel you.
Fair.
I was like, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. And hopefully, I don't have to do that again. But
Mhm.
it was interesting, and it's like you said, it didn't hurt. It was more like a tingle just going up, across, and down.
Yeah.
And I would never have known that that was an electricity, flowing through
Mhm.
if I wasn't aware of what I was doing. And so when you say, when the lightning struck, there was no pain, there was no this, I could agree with that. I was like, I never, even to this day, it's not like I sit there and go, oh man, when the weather changes, my arm hurts from that lightning that went through. It's like there's no side effect really.
Mhm.
Not that I'm recommending people to go grab and experiment, live wires. That no.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, it sounds like it traveled through your nervous system, right? Because that's an electrical circuit in the human body. It sounds like it moved up through your nervous system.
Yeah, and I have to say, I've never approached it from this angle, but hearing what you were saying, I think it's probably my guides were with me
Mm-hmm.
and were like, you can do this. We'll make sure, that follows the right path because, I mean, especially crossing the chest, it's like, there's a lot of organs at the top that are like, don't react well to electricity. And yet that's where it went through. And it's like, now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, you got your lungs, you got your heart, you got all these different organs in that area. It's like, yeah, good thing, I didn't swipe through one of those and, create holes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things could have gone wrong, right? Which is why we're not recommending anyone try that or do that. You clearly learned your lesson not to.
Yeah.
And I do get the sense that your guides, especially there's like an avian guide that really strongly is kind of like, yes, like I protected him in that moment.
I would agree with that. And I am ever grateful because my life has been the ever like comical, how did you survive this? You are the luckiest person I know. And I'm like, yeah, and I don't take it for granted. I'm kind of like you. It's like one time is enough. I don't need to put myself in a scenario to go and, you know, enjoy it again, but
Mhm.
I will go out, in storms and, like watch the lightning and everything, but I don't ever sit there and go, hey, lightning, come
No,
hang out here. It's like, no, I'm not inviting any of that.
no, no, you probably wouldn't survive it if you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you and Danny and
Yeah, but I
Rainbow
mean, it's
Friend.
great that you have your avian guide that's such a strong protector and around you and keeping you or helping to keep you alive during like they're telling me there's like eight, eight and a half. I don't know what the half means, but there's eight and a half kind of incidences in your life where there was an intervention from this avian being who is protecting you and looking out for you. So it's very sweet.
Yeah. I wonder if that half is a collaboration or
I yeah, it's like a and
like,
a
wait,
half. Half
how did
you.
you half help me? It's like, did you like just push and I did the rest? That is
Um,
a funny way of putting
they're
it.
telling me like the half was like it was like a half an incident, like the danger level, right? So like there's like the big incidences that were like these are big, and then there was one that was like a half an incident. I don't know. It's quite
It's
funny.
like, he fell out the window. Well, the window is only 2 feet. I don't think he was in that much danger, but we did cushion it a little. We'll call it half.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's the energy. Yes.
That's funny. What would be funny is if we did this again and they're like, well, now they've added a quarter to your list where they helped you a quarter.
They just helped you a quarter there, which makes sense, right? Like there's only so much help we need in certain moments, or a moment might look like it's going one way, and then it's like, oh, he's going to be fine, but we're here, so let's, we're still going to
Yeah.
help. Yeah.
Also, though, it could be a case of like you're going, oh my God, this is like, how did I survive this? Where in reality, it's like everybody else is looking at you like, dude, you're kind of blowing this out of proportion. You weren't in that much danger.
Yeah.
But you're feeling like you were because you're like, man, this could have turned out really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That
so
could be
that could
true.
be the half too, is we
Yeah.
tend to embellish things.
Yeah. We could think something's more extreme, especially in the moment when we're in fear and we haven't released the fear yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious when it comes to Akashics.
Mhm.
I've always been told through guides and everything, nobody can read anybody else's Akashic. But then I see people all the time saying, oh, I read this in your story and I read this. And I'm like, how are people able to bypass the you can't read other people's
Mhm.
Akashic?
If you keep reading other people's Akashic without their permission, consent, or request, then you will get kicked out of the records. So, I mean, that's that's going to happen if people keep abusing that. Basically, it's not actually okay to go inside anyone's Akashic record. What I do when I'm reading them is I go kind of up and ask their Akashic record guide for the information that they need for that reading. So that way, my energy isn't in there um, impacting or affecting their Akashic record. So I actually feel like it's really unethical to enter someone's Akashic, and it's very unethical to do it without their request or their permission. But it's an energy field. I mean, we often get this image of it's books in a library. There's not books. Like we could symbolically see a book in our clairvoyance, for example, but it's not a book. It's a field of energy that contains all the information about our past lives, our future lives, our present life, every record of Earth. So there's that Akashic, and then there's a galactic Akashic record, right? Of being able to access, you know, lifetimes in other planets and lifetimes in other universes, galaxies. So you can't just jump into someone else's without eventually getting a consequence of getting kicked out and not being allowed access. And I've seen people get kicked out and then pretend to still be in sometimes, and that's not cool either.
Yeah. No, that. Although it would be funny to watch them being kicked out, because I can imagine what that would look like. And yeah, a little electricity in that one, I do see. Maureen, I'm like, I do see electric being used, but it's interesting, like you say, that it's like a ball of energy, because when I was in Egypt, there were places where I would see little balls of energy here and there, and I was just like, whenever you would go to look at it, like it almost acted like a shadow beam. It's like it would be there on the side of your eye, and then if you focused on it, it would disappear and be like, nope. And so I
Yeah.
just, I never would have equated that as possibly being,
Well, that's not the Akashic. Those are beings. Those are conscious beings that are, your energy is able to see them and notice them, and they can move to another frequency and not be seen at all. But the Akashic energy field is, not just a ball. It's a huge energetic field. But we live in a reality that there's so many energetic overlays that I can be sitting here in this spot, but there could be so many layers of other things happening at different frequency levels that I can't see. And that's, when we start to see through those realities or through those experiences of maybe, a being who no longer has permission to be here. They don't have a body. So a soul that dies and passes away and doesn't leave, right? They're still here, but they don't have a body. So but we would feel that energy coming through because they would be at a different frequency. We feel the energy of, a galactic or a star being or an interdimensional being. And that frequency is an overlay. I can't maybe see them with my physical eyes. Oftentimes the orbs are angelic beings, typically. I have some cool pictures from like the 90s where these giant orbs are just floating in front of me, and you could see these cool patterns that are so intricate in them. And typically those are angelic or elemental beings when you see the different orbs that just kind of float, or it can be your guides as well, that you just start to notice them in your presence in the energy.
What's interesting is, if the Akashic field is around everywhere, I see portals. I've experienced portals, natural and man-made,
Mm-hmm.
and walking through, and some activate, some don't. So how does one, if they want to, tap into their Akashic to see something, how do they, one, know which is their Akashic field, and two, have the code to activate it? Or is it something that's within and we all are making it much harder than it really is?
We're all making it much harder. If we're setting the intention in a very spiritual and loving way within, I would say, create some sort of prayer or meditation within your spiritual belief system that is asking for access to your own records. Ask for your Akashic Records guide to meet you in your meditation. And, if you want some information, the thing is the Akashic field isn't going to give you information you're not ready for. It wouldn't have told me if I tapped in, 20 years ago, it wouldn't have said, oh, you're going to get struck by lightning on this date. That's not going to be told to me, because then I would spend every day living like, is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to be this day? Like, I would never go outside, and then jokes on me, it happened inside. Like, so they're not going to tell us the things we're not meant to know or wouldn't benefit us. It's the same thing when I do readings. Like, they're not going to bring information through that's not for that person's greatest and highest good, because one, I'm setting those boundaries, but two, if they're connecting with their Akashic Records guide in meditation in a prayerful way, they're going through with a genuine heart of wanting to just access that. Maybe they want to know a past life that's the most relevant for them, right? That's a really fun way to access your own Akashic Records, is to go in, and you got to be in the here and now, because our psychic gifts do not work if I'm in 5 minutes from now and thinking about the future, or if I'm in the past and thinking about what's happened. I have to be in this here now moment in order to utilize and wield any of those gifts that will get me access and get the information to flow through.
And that's comforting to know as well, because I always find it kind of disconcerting when you're like on social media, and I'm not referencing you in this, so don't interpret it that way, but when people, you're like, oh, you do this, that sounds interesting, let me send you a friend request, and it's like the very next moment, it's like they accept, and they're like, hey, your guides are, reaching out to me, and I need to do that, and I'm like,
well,
not with my
99% of the
guy.
time, that's a fake account. So people have done that to me. People have done that to a lot of my intuitive friends, my shamanic friends, where they will steal the account and then they'll try and use that. Any ethical, good reader is never going to ask that of you. So if you get that, make sure you're on their official site or their official page. And if they are still doing that, then I would say that's not somebody working in the level of ethics that I would choose to go see. But it
Yeah,
may not be their account. It may be a scam account.
right, because, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, because I was like, I'm of the opinion of, if my guides were reaching out to you, they would have reached out to me first, and if I didn't respond to the 2x12, then they would try the next level up. They don't give up, in other words, trying to
They don't
get
give
me,
up.
so, yeah.
Yeah, that's usually a scam. It's actually a very common scam. And so most of the time, if you get that message, it's because you're on an account that's not their official one, and somebody's stealing their data or their posts and creating a fake page and manipulating. Because I would never, and most of the intuitives that I'm friends with have the integrity that they would never do that either. If I do reach out to somebody, I offer it for free, because if something comes through so strongly that I'm meant to, I will reach out, ask for their permission, and I will, take 5 minutes to give them the message, because it's not going to be a whole reading. But that's usually people I know. I've never gotten that with a stranger ever.
And what was kind of cool and interesting in a way was twice I had guests on my show, and I asked them about, their abilities and everything, and they tried to read me, but I didn't, I wasn't like, no, I'm not being read on the show. That's not what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
And one said, I tried to read you, but there was like this purple whirlwind of energy with these symbols that I've never seen that prevented me from getting to you. And I'm like, cool, shield one.
Mm-hmm.
And another one said, yeah, I couldn't get past this like tornado of energy whirling around you, and what I could see through was like somebody like holding like spinning plates on a stick, and I was like, shield 2, good to know. And it's like, and the cool part is like seeing, and hearing what your shields look like, and that they're working. But it's interesting how some people can get through, and some people, will say, "Hey, I can't read." And one day, a gentleman who was did massages on me and my parents. I was like, "Man, my shoulder's out." He came over to my house with his wife, and he like started to work on my shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, you need to give me permission to work on your shoulder. I can't work on your shoulder." And I'm like, "Dude, you've done massages on me for like probably 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Why now am I?" And I was like, and then I had to think about it. I was like, "Oh, because it wasn't just the two of us."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, "Okay, you can let the guard down." And he was like, "Thank you," and was able to work. And so it's interesting how the body reacts, even if it knows somebody, it'll be like, no, in certain scenarios.
Yeah, we get to have those energetic boundaries, which is a beautiful thing, right? And what great feedback to know, like, hey, my energetic boundary is working. You didn't give them permission, and so they were not able to read, but what they were able to read was the boundary. And so, yeah, I mean, we give permission consciously and unconsciously too. That happens when people come to me to, you know, be that person for them. There's inherent permission, but sometimes people have so many shields up that um I have to ask them, like, are you sure you really want this reading? And like, what do we need to do here? Like, are you willing to kind of adjust those for the moment? And it doesn't happen very often, because usually if people are coming to me, they're excited for their reading that day. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, how cool that you got that feedback though.
Yeah. And I wonder, with, I don't know where you are on the scale of belief, but, we have hybrids, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you, when you're in, let's say they go, "Hey, Michelle, I want a Akashic reading," and you're like, "Okay." Do you go and say, "There's two Akashics now. Which one am I reading?" One is the galactic hybrid side, the other is the here side. Which one, or do they merge, or how does that work if there's
Well, if they're born a hybrid, if they're born in that way, like from birth, like they were incubated in the mother's womb as a hybrid, then it's still that Earth Akashic record, because they came in through the Earth portal. If the only time I see a separation is if they're a walk-in hybrid, or there's somebody that had a hybridization that was done later, but it's still in their Earth Akashic record because it happened here on Earth. They had to be physically taken from Earth to have that hybridization done, or they had a walk-in soul that isn't of Earth, right? Then yeah, that's the only time I would then say, okay, the records are kind of taking me here. It's all one record. It's just we get level access based on frequency. And so if we've only ever incarnated on Earth, and we're just that frequency match, we're only going to get Earth data, because why would we need any more than that? If we have been a traveler like me and been all around the place, then you're more likely to kind of tap into the bigger field. But don't think about it as separate records. It's like I'm getting layers of frequency, just like there's layers of frequency here: 3D, 4D, 5D.
That's really interesting. And with the world we live in, where people pose as things like we're saying, could it be a scammer posing as the fake reader when it's not really them? And
Mm-hmm.
do you ever get someone who sits down and says, "Hey, can you read my hybrid records?" And you're like, "You're not a hybrid.
Yeah, that's
You
happened.
don't."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's usually something that explains it, that they're interpreting it as that, right? And whatever that is, like I bring that through for the person. But yeah, there's times, but typically that doesn't happen because a lot of times I ask people not to say much to me, so that I'm not being led by what they're saying. So typically that it's not going to be that common in my readings because I'm not wanting a whole lot of information up front, because I feel like it's less powerful to get the information. Like you're, like, okay, you're a hybrid, but then it's like, well, they came in and just told me that already. So if you get that information and you haven't asked the question or planted that in my head, then it feels more powerful, I think. So, but yeah, I mean, there's always a reason though. If somebody strongly feels like, hey, I'm a hybrid, I mean, who knows? We all kind of are in a sense, right? So, I mean, in a sense, everybody is.
Right. No, I agree. And, and one of the other things too, that I'm finding interesting is that you work on, and I'm not sure if you're working on it the way that I'm thinking it is, the chakras.
Mhm.
Everybody is like, oh, yeah, we have the 7 chakras. I'm like, well, but that's the bottom level. It's like there's like hundreds of chakras around us
Mhm.
in operation, but everyone focuses on the 7. And I'm fortunate I have a chiropractor who even like he'll check the 7 chakras and then he goes, I'm going to go check your antenna. I think is what he uses as reference to the field of the other chakras that are around you. And
Mhm.
it'll be like, yeah, you're in alignment, or nope, you're off centered. Let's see if we can't fix that, and
Mhm.
works on the other chakras as well. And so when you say doing advanced chakra practitioning,
Mhm.
are you limiting to the 7, or are you opening to any of the chakras that are around the body that are showing and saying, hey, we need help?
I'm primarily working with the 12 chakra system, just for the sake of, access. So, I mean, I'm not going to have time in a reading to ask, 100 and, 20 chakras, how they're doing. So what I'll do is, chakras are that energy center, right? Again, energy, it's all energy. And there's even some interesting research now that looks at, the meridians and the fascia system and how that energy flows and how that comes together and is kind of creating, those energy centers that we know as those spinning wheels of the chakras. But if I'm looking at it and and somebody wants to know, like, why they're stuck, if, I do a lot, especially at the new year, like, what do my chakras want to tell me for the new year? I look at the root and we're looking at root chakra information, or I look at a lady came to me for these allergies the other day, and they were horrible, horrible allergies. And like, she loves nature. So it was just really disruptive to her life. We did an energetic healing and clearing of her, Earth Star chakra. And she said so much stuff came out of her for like a week, and then she hasn't had any allergies since. So, like, the advanced chakra practitioner work is working with those energy centers. It's getting a variety of different information energetically. So if we're looking at chakras as just like a place where energy clusters, then I can look at what's going on and what is needed in that area of the body, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like what's happening. And also, like, I work with scalar energies. I work with all kinds of different, quantum energies to, um, help move things in and out of the chakras to create various healings through meditation. I'm not actually doing it. I guide you how to do it because I don't want to build a dependency on me. I want to teach people the tools to be able to be their own healer.
No, that's cool. And thank you for doing that. And one thing that I'm kind of curious your thoughts around is I've heard when it comes to the chakras that, there's two types of people with the chakras. Is one group of people are like, oh, open them up, let them flow, and just, it's unlimited, so don't limit yourself, just open the chakras and everything will be great. And then there's the other group of people that are like, well, if your chakras constricted, your body, can't do this. So you have to open it to a certain point to where they're all balanced. And that's where the energy from the body works best, is when the chakras are balanced. And if you're too open, you're going to be too much out here, and your earth body is not going to be able to react as well. And so I'm curious your thoughts on the, can you open a chakra too much, or is that a misnomer and they can be open as big as they want?
I have this aura biofeedback camera that I absolutely love, where a person can put their hand on there and we can see their aura, and we can kind of see the state of their chakras. We can see, if they're getting bigger or smaller, if they're, what they're doing, right? And what I like to do is put people on this and for like 5 minutes and have them think about different things. And what you'll see is the chakras constantly changing, right? I'll hand them a crystal and then the chakras start changing, right? The levels go up and down on the screen. The heart will start expanding and the throat will go down. If I ask them about something that they don't like say they're scared of dogs, and I play the sound of a dog barking, and their throat chakra starts to go down, right? Like, well, there's safety in that. So I don't really buy into let's balance them and leave them wide open, because I don't think they stay wide open. I think they're constantly in flux. And what I see when I, utilize the biofeedback aura camera to see what somebody's chakras are doing and what their energy field is doing, we can see this constant brilliance of the chakras. Now it's just looking at the 7 chakras, but there's an absolute brilliance of, if I'm scared or something makes me uncomfortable, my aura, my energy field starts to come down and be more compacted. If I need to be quiet and not speak up because that's not safe for me, then my throat chakra is going to go down. If I need to speak up and find the courage, it's going to expand. Like, there's so much more brilliance than we're giving our energy credit for. Getting them balanced, yes. If they're like dirty, get them cleaned up, clean out the gunk. But I don't think it's like, get them to this certain spate and just this right spin and put them all in perfect balance and then you'll be fine. I think it's more a matter, for me, I see as like cleaning out the gunk where they get dirty, where we get societal programming, we get trauma, we get all of these things that just gunk it up and make it dirty. So clean it, yes, balance them, and then they're just going to constantly be moving in the appropriate way for whatever you're doing. Like, trust the body wisdom, trust the wisdom of the chakras.
No, that's really helpful. And I've been recently, in my mind, I've been like talking about like blind truths that we just agreed to, and we really don't know. And like, one of them is like, grass is green. How do we know that that's what the color green looks like? And somebody will go, well, science told us that the frequency of green is what's refracted back. That's why we call it green. I'm like, but how do we know the frequency that refracted back is called green? And yeah, I like to go down rabbit holes and like figure things out. But when it comes to the chakras, like, I've seen pictures where like one may be red. Well, then a few books or sources down later, it's like, well, no, this might actually be more orange, or this could be blue, or what. I feel like somebody would like just took like the rainbow and said, let's just slap it on these different orders and we'll associate it this way. But is there really color to the chakras? And how do we know like which color really is going to what?
Well, does color even exist, right? Like, so I mean, if you
Yeah.
if you go and say, okay, this is all frequency and this is all energy. If a color is frequency, if a feeling hits a certain frequency, right? Love is a higher frequency than shame, right? Purple is a higher frequency than, another color. Well, why? Because somebody could feel into that, right? And so being able to see, like, okay, magenta is purple and red. What a powerful color, right? But it's not, it's the frequency of that color. And if we all got together and meditated and agreed that there was a brand new color and assigned it a frequency, I think it would just appear. But we we get to create this reality, and we've created the visual color association with frequency. I mean, that's our first language. That's our foundational language, is energy and frequency. That's how telepathic communication and channeling can even happen. Like, I don't think the Octurian that is my therapist now, that helps me, knows, sits and learns English in a classroom. From what she tells me, it's like, it's the frequency of the information she's transmitting. And I'm doing the best that I can to process that information and put it in English. If my dog talks to me, again, it's the same thing. Like, he knows some English words, but the more in-depth telepathic conversations we have are all frequency. It's all energy. So the colors of the chakras, it's simply assigning a meaning. And when I look at different people's chakras, if I see a color, it's not always exactly the same. In general, do those colors kind of align ish? Yeah. But we all are so individual and unique. And, speaking of hybrids, sometimes they'll have extra chakras that I don't see in other people. I mean, there's all kinds of really cool variations that we have because we're all unique.
No, that's really cool. And how do you put yourself in the state to where you can see everything that you need to see? Because I know, like, my mom had a ritual that she would do just to prep her space for mediumship and then close it. Then other people have their, prep method. So I'm curious, if you can share or want to share, what how do you get in the zone, as my mom would put it? And is it something that anybody can do, or is it something that's unique to your makeup?
Um, well, we all come in with different gifts, right? So my higher self did the shopping, and she's like, these are the ones that you can activate in this earth body, right? We all have access to the chakras. We all have access to the basic gifts, but whether or not they come online has a lot to do with what our higher self picked out for us. And so, and then the lightning activated more, right? But being able to really tap into, it doesn't have to be meditation. For me, I do a quick kind of meditative thing. If I'm feeling more restless, I do that on my elliptical. If I'm feeling like stillness, I do that in stillness. So, I mean, I kind of check in with my guides too and kind of see where I'm at. So I don't do the exact same ritual every time, because I don't think my energy always needs to prepare in the same way for every client. I know I'm getting like a really ancient starseed being when it's like, you need 20 minutes of meditation before you meet with this person. It's like, oh, I'm about to meet somebody very interesting, right? But, most of the time, that's kind of rare, but most of the time, it's a couple minutes and some sort of kind of calibration, because I have to be in the here and now moment. So I would say whatever brings you in this here and now moment, that is a huge key that most people get stuck with, is if they can't be in now, they can't access the clairvoyance, because the clairvoyance is, I've got to tune down my eyes, or I've got to tune things down and be in this moment to see whatever image makes sense. And they usually come in such a flash that, like, you have to be in the present moment to catch them. Otherwise, they just disappear.
No, that's really helpful and interesting. And I kind of, now you got me wondering, like, you and I having the kind of, like, you'd almost say affinity to electricity. Is there a chakra maybe that is like electricity that's in our field that says, yep, here I am, this is why this is going on? And we don't ever think of like fire having a chakra or air having a chakra, and that's what's in our field that's allowing us to work with it. And this is what I'm talking about, is working with it, not like breathing. We don't need a chakra to breathe. That's another function. I'm referring to like energy work, using those elements and everything.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that's a possibility, or?
I don't think there's like a electricity chakra. What I do think is that we are full of biophotons. We are full of energy. We are full of, our nervous system is an electrical circuit. And so we have energy in us. In fact, I can't remember where I got this, but there was one study done that basically said the energetic charge of a human could light up the entire planet. Like, we have so much energy within us, and the energy, and then the frequency, right? Because frequency isn't, we have all these crystals in our body, and there's like new emerging research that's just fascinating about like the fascia and these little crystals and the iliad, and there's all of this fancy cool like science that they haven't even figured out before that shows all of these pathways of energy moving in the body, that's on the verge of proving chakras to all of those people who think, I've that many cultures have made this up, but being able to see like they are energy, frequency, electricity, right? The magnetism attracts, right? And so we all need to be both. I work on adding more magnetism so that I balance myself out so I'm not too electric. Otherwise, I'm getting constant shocks. And so if I balance that out and I bring in the magnetic into my chakras, into the field, and I balance some of that out, then I'm not going to get shocked all of the time. And I'm going to be able to, have that energy is going to move differently if there's magnetism versus high frequency versus low frequency. And the elementals, who I don't think have a soul, they just exist forever. They are eternal. I don't think we can incarnate as elementals. We can merge with elementals, and then there's fairies and those that are having a incarnation that are considered an elemental, but they're not the elements. And so the elements, bringing those in is going to change the frequency. The element of fire, regardless of what chakra I'm putting it in, it's going to amplify something. If I'm bringing in water, then I'm probably in a process of flow, right? It's going to be more cooling, where fire is going to be like, maybe I'm using fire to burn something out of a chakra, right? But I'm working with the electricity or the energy of that chakra, or, air to blow and clean it out, or air to like come in and, amplify the mental, logical, whatever. So, I mean, I don't think there's a specific chakra that says this one manages and governs electricity, because we are body electric. We are light. We are frequency. We are energy. Energy is electricity, plasma.
Right. And I was just curious about that because, like, you hear of, and I've had a guest who she can create a long tube of burning hot coals and walk across the coals. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, directly on it with bare feet. And then I'm in my head going, that would burn the living daylights out of the foot. And I know that's my mind, programming that. But
Mm-hmm.
it seems like, on the flip side, I feel confident like a firewalker is going to be like, no way would I ever, touch electricity because that's too dangerous. So it's like our mindsets and our programmings. It's like that's why I wondered if there's a governing aspect somewhere, because we all have the same abilities, but yet somehow some become more activated and more focused on. And so it's like,
Well, depending
what?
on how many lives someone has had too, right? I've had several lifetimes where I have worked on, developed, and put in the effort of developing these gifts. So this isn't like I just woke up in this lifetime and boom, they're there. And for anyone, like if people are just starting out and they don't have incarnational histories of accessing various gifts and abilities, then yeah, I mean, when I learned algebra for the first time, it was really hard, right? When I relearned it for, later in life, it wasn't as hard. It was like, oh, I get it. X. Yeah, that's not a number, but it makes sense. Right. And so when we're relearning, it's a lot easier to relearn, remember. So that's why I like to tell people you're remembering this ability in your life, not learning it for the first time. Where someone else might be, it's like, hey, you're learning this for the first time. Like you've never really done this before to activate this gift or ability. So some of those layers of how easily it is to tap in, or someone who's jolted awake, right? Whether that's through, in class to sticking two wires together or getting struck by lightning, or just doing an intense meditation and your kundalini like just rises, like whatever happens for those intense spiritual awakenings. When I look at those or read those souls, when they're giving me permission, I'm seeing these histories that make sense of all the hard work that they put in. It's like you don't get a podcast that's being listened to if you don't do anything, right? If you don't even make the podcast, right? Like, so it's like when we put in the effort throughout incarnations, then it's going to be a lot easier to activate that. If we're from somewhere else and we have, those abilities, then, that's going to activate more within a human incarnation. So, I think that maybe plays more into it. And the fire walking, like there's a mentality. The third eye chakra isn't in overanalyze. The chakras are all in full belief that this is going to happen and that they're going to be fine. And so when we strongly believe we're going to get burned, then we probably will. We strongly believe that we're going to be fine and we can do this. Like that's, I think, part of the point of doing it, right, is to learn how to mentally overcome something that logic and our world teaches us fire will burn you. And then if we can get into a state where we shift all of our chakras, all of our energy into full belief, I can do this and be okay, and then we do it and we're okay, that helps us then to trust I can manifest all kinds of things in my life. I'm in way more control than I've been told.
Yeah, and I'm thinking for myself, I'm like, especially if it's jagged rocks that you're walking across, I'm like, is my feet hurting from the jagged rock gonna, distract me from the fact these are burning hot? Or, and kind of, and one thing that they told me is if you rush across, yes, it'll hurt, you'll feel it more.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know that I could steady, be like, ooh, kind of mentality going across stuff that you're, in my mind, really not supposed to be walking across. But
Yeah. But that's where
it's
you
like,
work
yeah,
with your chakras or yourself to learn that trust and learn that surrender to get to the point that you can. Like that preparation is like part of the work and part of the point of doing those experiences.
like the ultimate mind over matter. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And surrender. Yeah.
definitely surrender.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious, and we've kind of talked around a lot of this, but I want to give a moment to the moment where you woke up and I'm not referring to the lightning strike.
Mhm.
I'm referring to when you woke up and had your aha moment of, oh, I'm different. I can do, I'm more in tune to my abilities, and what kind of impact that had on you, how you awoke to it, and how were you supported, or were you like, oh, I had to keep it, quote, under wraps for a while because people weren't ready for it. What was it like?
Well, I was born partially awake. So my story kind of starts as being a very small child that was seeing and interacting with these things. Everything got amplified after the lightning, but I've always had the experience of being partially awake. Now, did I learn I had to hide things? Yeah, as a kid, I learned really quick that you don't talk about the passed away person that's standing there. And I thought it was weird. I'm like, okay, so we all know to pretend that they're not there. Okay. Like, but how do we know who to pretend isn't there and who is there? Like, I just had so many complex thoughts as a child trying to make sense of everything. And then I knew I was older than my mother, but I couldn't figure out how she was older than me. And it was soul wise, but I didn't understand all of these concepts and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I didn't stop talking to the guides or the trees or the nature spirits. Instead, I kept it quiet and I learned, okay, like somehow everyone knows we're not supposed to talk about these things, but I was still engaging with all of that within myself. And my family, actually, I don't have any contact with because they are fundamentalist Christians and they think what I'm doing is evil or demonic. And, unfortunately, they chose that they believe that more than they can choose to be in my life. So, this does come at a cost. There is a price. I told you after the lightning, I couldn't hide it anymore. And part of the reason I was hiding it was to be able to have access to my family, to be accepted, to be a part of. And after that, I couldn't. I had to really shift and live in an authentic life and be authentically who I am and not make myself small for anyone. So being able to wake up. Well, I was already kind of always awake, but everything got amplified. But there was kind of okay, now I can't hide and pretend, and I can't just be a therapist in the world. Like, I have to quit that. I have to be a shaman. I have to, do intuitive work. And, my, my friendships changed, like everything shifted and changed because not everybody was accepting of that or is accepting of that. And I have an amazing, wonderful community of chosen family now that I wouldn't trade for anything.
No, that's amazing. And yeah, and that's beautiful how you were able to turn it around and not let it beat you down. And you said something that it's like, I think I heard it right, but I'm not quite so sure I heard it right. And I'm thinking, you waited to the end of the show to mention this, is being half awake when you were born. So are you meaning like you were awake in the womb and you have
No,
partial
no.
memory of?
What I mean by that is, we talk a lot about spiritual awakening, right? The moment that we realize like these things and we start investigating, right? So that's kind of the definition I was going on for spiritual awakening of the context you were using it in. But as far as
Okay.
like being a very young child, like remembering mantis beings holding me and picking me up out of my crib as a baby, remembering, and having interactions with them, remembering, seeing the ghosts and the beings and the fairies and like interacting with everything. Like, I was born very in tune with that. And I have a lot of memories of those things. So there was this sense of, that's given me a lot of strength to say, no, this is real, is because I've always known this is real. And I've had amazing guides who have been there along the way for me that have helped me to continue to see the validation and have the experiences that prove to me all of this is very real. And so when I say I was born partially awake, I mean that I had access to these things. Clearly none of us are fully awake yet, or we'd be ascended masters already. But, there's that partial awakeness. And then there was more awakenings and initiations that have happened throughout my life.
Okay. I'm glad I asked, because I was under one impression and thinking, this is a story we need to... Ow, what?
No.
Way to bury the lead there, Michele.
I hear you.
But no, and I appreciate that, because, a lot of people equate, like, they'll say, oh, I've had that since I was born, but they don't really, like, I don't think people really understand what that means. It's like people I think will interpret it as, oh, as they're learning to walk, they're learning this. So it's like they don't think, oh, coming out of the womb, we were aware
Yeah.
of these abilities. And so I think that's cool that, you had that. And I don't even know, and it almost kind of helps explain, like, when I would talk with my parents, I would bring up conversations with them that they had before I was born.
Yeah.
And they would look at me and be like, how did you even know about that conversation? Because once people have a conversation, it's not like they go every day, go, hey, remember this conversation, and talk about it. But it I never equated it to being aware. I always kind of equated it to deciding, which, family am I going to be born into. And it's like part of my learning process of, can I work with this group? Can I work with that group? Well, obviously you guys piqued my interest more, because look, I paid attention to this conversation.
Uh-huh.
But I never thought of that as part of my spiritual path and growth. I always thought of it as the pre-birth, aspect.
Yeah, but if as a little child those were the kind of things that you were saying, then that's a really clear indication that you were also born partially awake. What percentage? I don't know, because I don't have your permission to read it. But when you really look at that, right, like, people have a different amount that door is open or closed.
Yeah. No, and we jokingly would laugh with friends and say, oh, Michael knew that because that was when he was floating around.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, it's like, because it would surprise people, and I would be like, and I think it's kind of like you say, it's like, when you're young, it's like, why is this so surprising? Oh, you mean everybody can't do this? Everybody doesn't have this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we are approaching an hour and a half. Is there anything you have coming up that you would like to promote, or do you want to share how people can get in touch with you if they want a reading of all your different types, or a session with you? And do you have like a hey, we can do past life, Akashic, chakra, and Reiki all in one kind of plan?
Absolutely. Yeah. If that's meant to be. My website is the best place to go. It's luminousignus.com, LUMINOUS, Ignus, IGNUS. And on my website, my scheduling is booked in time blocks, because I'm always asking Spirit what needs to be done. right? And so it may be a combination. So I don't make people pick from the menu as far as like what are the options. I do have a bunch of general ideas for people on the website that they could kind of look at. But a nice beginner reading is to get just a chakra reading, which you can do a 30 or 60 minutes and just like we can go through your chakras really quick, and you can kind of get a feel for me. And then, there's all kinds of things that I do and that I love to do. And most of the time, I mean, a lot of people will say, I'm not sure what I need, but I feel led to reach out to you. I'm like, great, we'll see what comes through. So if they don't know, that's okay. I'll ask their higher self, and their higher self will know why they're there.
No, that's really cool. And I did put the website that you gave me on banner right now. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, and
So
every now and then I have classes, but not very often. So schedule a reading with me, and I'd be happy to meet with you and help you. If you want to look at past lives, we can look at past lives. If you think you're a hybrid, then I can ask and find out.
that proverbial, do you really want to know, or are you going to be okay with if she slaps you back and go, no, you're not?
That could
Like,
happen.
no. No, I greatly appreciate it, and I greatly appreciate you sharing your story. And I have to say, even the lightning part kind of was like buried in the lead kind of thing, because your bio, I remember reading your bio and reading, the topics that we were covering, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing lightning coming up. And I'm like, so when you said that, I was like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? And
Yeah.
so, and I'm sure, if, doing interviews and everything, it's like, how many times do you want to say, yes, I was struck by lightning one time, 3 spots? It's like, yeah, we're going there again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, it's something I've talked about so much at this point that it's fascinating to other people, right? Just like when I hear someone's story for the first time, it's fascinating, right? But also, there's a point where it's like, there's so much more about me, or things that I would love to share with people that, it does kind of get buried a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of just noticed something, and I don't know if it's a thing, but, and I'm not talking, inappropriate thing here, people, but I had the incident with the electricity going through my body. I have blue eyes that are very prominent, and they can shift colors depending, how bright or different shade of blue, or maybe a different color depending on the mood. And I was just noticing, like, when you were talking about the lightning and going just now, I was like, your eyes kind of showed as more blue, like on the screen. And so I was like, is blue, the fact that we have blue eyes, kind of a thing of why the lightning, worked, so to speak, and we're okay? Or is that, no, that's not a commonality, that's just a coincidence?
Well, eye color shifting is actually known in some like yogic traditions as being and Buddhist traditions as being part of the a frequency upgrade. Like as your frequency raises, that the color of the eyes can shift. My eyes are green gray, and they will shift from green, gray, blue, purple. I get the shifts when I'm talking. Friends sometimes will be like, "Your eyes just shifted colors." So, I mean, it's a phenomenon that happens. And honestly, yes, I have heard more people that have survived some sort of catalyst, not always electricity, but some sort of catalyst. One, she drowned and came back to life. Like, but there's something about these intense activations that, yeah, I do see that pattern of people talking about having that color shifting of the eyes.
Well, there you go. Learn to shift your eye colors, but still don't go grabbing things you shouldn't be grabbing to prove you can do it.
Yes.
Let it happen naturally, because they know what they're doing.
Exactly. And it's got to be the right frequency, right? And if it's a frequency change that the eyes start changing, you can't just will them to change colors. You've got to shift your frequency in order for the colors to shift frequency.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. I honestly thought it was just the eyes are matching my mood, and that's how, to tell my mood is like, what color are my eyes? That'll
Well,
tell you what mood I'm in. And
but that's true to an extent because moods are frequencies, right? Shame is a low frequency, love is a high frequency. So, yeah, if your frequency shifts with your mood, then and your eyes shift colors with that, there you could find some patterns that, yeah, are consistent.
well, very cool. And I highly suggest everyone go check out her website. Go follow her on her YouTube channel. It is in the links in the bio. And like and subscribe, because you never know when she'll be popping up again and what experiences she'll be sharing on there. So do keep up with her and my shows. And I am going to sign out here because, one, I have another show coming up, but two, I have stuff to do, and I know you have clients and stuff to do. So thank you for sharing your time with us and your story with us. And I actually will leave you with a message. And that is from my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity. Thank you for
Mhm.
being authentically you and standing up for your truth and being a way shower for those that are coming.
Oh, thank you so much. I received that with gratitude and thank you.
Yes, and I feel you are being a way shower, because you're doing your work, is, opening pathways for other people to maybe step up and take the step that they were afraid to take. Because I mean, the world is what it is, to where when we were activating and figuring things out, we didn't have a community to go and say, hey, is this what I think it is? Is this really happening? And, how can I smooth this out, so to speak? Where today there are communities that are out there and are public and creating safe space. So thank you for your part in doing that, even though that may not be what you intended to do. It is there just same as me. And so thank you. And Rainbow Flame Wizard says he's already subscribed, so stay awesome.
Thank you.
And so thank you. And with that, I'm going to say have a wonderful day, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the week and weekend. And wow, can you believe we're in August already?
No.
Yeah, I know. It's like, where did this summer go? It's like we're already almost at the end of the summer.
I know because time is wonky right now.
It is. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad we were able to connect and make this happen. And thank you for trusting me, because I know not all shows are alike. So thank you for trusting me and coming on with me.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, and anytime you want to come back on, just let me know and we'll see about making that happen.
All right, lots to share, so we can do that.
All right, I look forward to it. And so thank you. And thank you to the chat room and everyone who's watching. And make it a wonderful day. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.